Good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar on how homeopathy is healing autism. We're going to jump right into it. I'm going to cover a lot of ground. I may not go into super detail about the specific hows, but the idea today is to give you a bit of an overview of how we look at and approach autism. But I'm going to start. Let's see if I can get my PowerPoint up and running here for you. I want to start with a quote. Okay, there we go. From one of our mothers. We worked with this young man for a lot of years, and I'll show you a little bit more about him in just a moment. But this mom said, I don't personally think that anyone can be a non-responder to sequential homeopathy because it is completely individualized and it works on every piece of the puzzle. And she was referring to autism. So this young man, oh dear, I must find my, there we go. For some reason, I'm not finding what I need to forward my slides. Nope. There we go. Okay. I'm not a techno wizard, so you're going to have to bear with me. Sorry about that. Too many screens, not enough brain. So first of all, welcome. I'm Cindy Griffin. I am with Homeopathy Center of Houston. And we are a 4-practitioner office. We have been working with autism, for about really probably 16 years, because before Homeopathy Center of Houston came into being, my business partner and I were both working with some kids on the spectrum. And Homeopathy Center of Houston, day before yesterday, actually had its 15th anniversary. So we are excited to share. We've got a special offer that I'm going to bring up before I finish. And I just wanted to give you a little idea that when you call Homeopathy Center of Houston, you would be assigned to one of our 4 homeopaths who fits your child's history and our individual professional experience. We have all had recovered kids. There are 4 of us. There's myself. There is my business partner, Linda Lanham, who is the co-founder, Julie Adams, and Lynde Martini. And they all of us have worked with many, many kids on spectrum. We have had almost 200 kids who have completely lost any shred of autism. They look like their age peers. And we all have a calling to do what we do. So first, of course, you've always got to get a little bit of the housekeeping out of the way. We are not medical doctors. We are professional homeopaths. We are not licensed medical doctors. And the information in this webinar is for educational purposes. It is not intended as, nor should it be construed as medical advice for medical treatment, self-care, diagnosis, or prevention of a medical condition. If you require medical treatment, please consult a medical doctor. And now we are required to make the statement that homeopathic manufacturing in the U.S. is overseen and inspected by the FDA, but that homeopathy's theories and science are not sanctioned by or accepted by the FDA or most conventional medical science. If you're watching this webinar, probably you're aware that the FDA may or may not be all of our friends anyway, but we just have to make that clear that homeopathy is its own science, and there is certainly much evidence that it works for quite a large number of human conditions. And so we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through this. Also, for best viewing, you want to close as many of the programs as you can on your computer, close your other browser windows, except for this one, of course. And if somebody in your house is streaming video or music on your shared internet connection, then you're not going to have a great viewing experience. So you might see if they can shut that down while we're doing this. You might want to have some note-taking materials handy, and there will be a Q&A session at the end. So I'm going to open up the chat for that, and I will answer your questions at that point. So let's roll into it. I'm going to take myself out of the picture so that I'm not a distraction. Let's talk a little bit about this first little girl. Her name is Caitlin, and she came to us when she was 4 years old. She was nonverbal. She had a great deal of anxiety. She was very socially withdrawn. She had a lot of gut problems. And then as she started working with us, by the time she was 5 years old, she had started talking. By the time she was 6, she was talking very expressively. And you can see, even though this picture was taken pretty early when we were just starting with her, you know, it's not that. It is a fairly typical smile for the camera, autism smile. But by age 6, she was oh so expressive. She had tons of language. She started singing in her church's children choir. By the time she got into 5th grade, she was not just verbal, she was actually getting in trouble because she was a chatterbox. She had become a cheerleader at school. She had developed a number of friendships. She needed very, very minimal academic support. And then we trailed off because she was rocking and rolling. And this is a picture of Caitlin now, of course, in high school. She was still getting a little tutoring for math, but I have to admit I had to have a little tutoring in math. It was not my best subject. She was on the high honor roll. She got herself elected to student council, and she had done all the artwork for all of the people who were campaigning for student council. And she had really become quite the social butterfly, very active. And you can see that's just a happy young lady, beautiful young lady heading into life. So she's one of our success stories. And how did we do this? So we heal autism using homeopathy. So what is homeopathy? Those little tiny sugar pills that you see in that picture are one form of homeopathic remedies. That's the one that most people are commonly aware of. And homeopathy as a science is a very natural, holistic, or whole body approach. And for healing autism, basically what homeopathy does is it detoxifies of toxins such as heavy metals or chemicals or drugs or vaccines. It helps, it helps to support the rebalancing, and it helps to promote the healing processes and health support that are naturally built in to the human body to heal itself. Homeopathy is pharmaceutical free, so we're not adding new chemicals in. It is non-toxic because it's very highly diluted substances from plants, animals, heavy metals, various elements that are then diluted and diluted and diluted serially to various levels of dilution. And from that dilution factor, we derive the healing. So it's very, very highly dilute, which makes it very safe. And it is still very deeply detoxifying. It puts in the signals to the body to find whatever it is we're trying to get out of the body, and just lets the body eliminate them through its natural methods, through perspiration, through the stools, through the urine, just typical detox exit routes. So it's very safe, it's very non-toxic because of the high dilutions, and the manufacturing in the United States is overseen by the FDA, and actually the FDA has extended its reach to the overseas manufacturers if they want to import things into the US. The FDA is actually now checking out their manufacturing to make sure that it is up to snuff. And because virtually everything that we do with homeopathy is liquids, or you can see the drops there, or the little pellets that I just showed you, it's completely non-invasive. Pretty much everything we do is oral. We do occasionally have some things that we might use a suppository if you and your child are comfortable, but probably 99% plus is going to be liquids or sugar pellets that are very easy to administer to kids. And the way that it works is it facilitates the body's own built-in natural self-healing processes and rebalancing processes. So we're not directly attacking a pathogen by putting in a chemical like a drug, and we're not putting in a chemical like a chelation agent to try to cloak and pull out heavy metals. Instead, we simply let the body see the signal of the bad guys that are in there and support its natural way of getting rid of them, so that it's going to systematically restore its own equilibrium, and then from there you move to health. Now, autism is definitely a cumulative problem, and that is why we do sequential homeopathy. And our special offer is going to be related to an initial for sequential homeopathy, which unlayers these accumulated layers, such as the genetic predispositions, the vaccines that are administered, any drugs like antibiotics, as well as disease pathogens, heavy metals, excitotoxins, which are found in anything with MSG, artificial coloring, artificial flavoring. Right there is pretty much a bowl of GMO excitotoxins, as well as GMOs, because GMOs are now being associated with, first of all, the spraying of herbicides is going into the GMO crops, and now we're finding that those herbicides are causing cancers, and GMOs themselves tend to irritate the gut. So sequential homeopathy comes at illness from the standpoint that chronic conditions tend to be cumulative. You have traumas, you have chemicals, you have vaccines, all these different layers that are going to build up to create a tipping point into illness. And that is how kids become autistic. Even the kids who are supposedly born autistic, we all have a toxin bucket, and it's only so big before it fills up and then starts spilling over into our cells to the point that there is damage to the cells themselves. And that is where we see systems start breaking down. That is how most chronic illness, including autism, comes about. And so we use sequential homeopathy by choosing remedies based on your individual history or your child's history. And then we go backwards through that history to address detoxifying from those chemicals, vaccines, even to help heal from past traumas, from, accidents, injuries, and the damage that they leave behind. We've had actually people with old bruises coming up. Maybe they had a bad accident and, really bruised up their knee, maybe skinned the bone, fell over a track hurdle or something like that, and they had this huge bruise from it. And years later, when we're getting back in that part of their history, they may have an old looking bruised area come up on their leg. Sometimes it can be a little bit uncomfortable, like an old bruise that's almost healed. And literally the coagulated blood gets trapped in those old injuries, and the homeopathy can reach back through years and even decades to release even that, which means probably they're going to have less problem in that area with, things like old injuries coming back to hurt them. So we clear these traumas in reverse chronological order because the body naturally heals itself in reverse chronological order. And that helps to eliminate, it allows us to use remedies to help eliminate the problems right at the causational levels, which is going to improve and restore health as we move along through the history. So we have what we call the Houston Homeopathy Method, where we have actually combined the best of all homeopathic methods. We can choose from a great number of different homeopathic methodologies under the umbrella of homeopathy. We use single remedies, we use combination remedies, we use high potencies, which means high dilutions, lower dilutions, anything in the middle. We can use spagyric homeopathic remedies, gemotherapy remedies, which are very low potency, plant-based remedies, German biological remedies. So pretty much everything that is out there as far as homeopathic methodologies under the umbrella of homeopathy, we have learned to bring to bear in various different ways, depending on each child's needs. And then we have developed a system whereby we can go back through the sequential homeopathy, support the body along the way with daily remedies, and create true, deep, lasting healing. It's not like we're giving you a remedy and it works for X amount of time and it quits working. As we work back through the layers of what created your child's autism, then you will see that the improvements actually will last. Sometimes they slip back a little bit because they get covered up as your child is working through a different layer, and then they come forward again and the kids make progress. So let's look at how we attack, if you will. And the thing is, attacking healing is really a misnomer. You talk in modern medicine about fighting the cancer and fighting your way through autism. Homeopathy is very gentle. We're not fighting anything. We're harnessing what was built in by divine design into every human being in order to detoxify and heal oneself. So we give emotional support throughout the whole process, but we start first of all with looking at indicators of pain that your child may be demonstrating, because a painful person doesn't have any resources for detoxification and healing. So we really want to address pain relief first. So for instance, if your child is a headbanger or is constantly seeking pressure on their belly, that's often a sign that they're in gut pain. And that's one of the first things that we usually can turn around quite quickly, and we focus on that. But we also are going to, at the same time, want to be opening up those detox pathways. So we want to make sure that they're able to eliminate. We don't want, if there's constipation, we don't want that there because they can't dump toxins. We want to give daily supports of anything that is dysregulated that we possibly can. And that includes helping with digestion to improve that. If there is reflux, certainly that comes under pain relief, but it's also going to be supportive. We will have to have supportive remedies for digestion as well as elimination. We want to make sure that the exit ramps are working. And then we start to peel back these layers of these causational traumas. And we can even go so far as to address the genetic aspects. We can address inherited toxins. We can strengthen some of the familial family weaknesses and susceptibilities with certain remedies that we call miasm remedies. And we can even clear for drugs and vaccines that parents or even grandparents have had whose toxins may have actually been passed on genetically. We have seen kids who have eliminated antibiotics that they never took, but that their mother took. And so we know that those are things that the body wants to get rid of because it shows us the side effects of the drug as it's leaving. And then we have a much happier gut or whatever it is that we're focusing on. And then all along the way, we want to support the whole rebalancing and healing process, as well as giving, as I said, emotional support every single step of the way. Because a child who can't speak or has limited communication, they're not going to be able to process their emotions. And if we can't get emotional healing, it'll actually hold up physical healing, and vice versa. If we miss something on the timeline, kids will get emotionally stuck, and they'll show it by maybe rewatching a video from a certain time frame in their past, and parents go, man, I don't know what we hit, but all of a sudden he's gone back to watching, Mr. Rogers or whatever it was that he used to watch and rewatch and rewatch, and he's back to that, and he's not moving. And if a couple of months like that go on, then we have to stop and think about, okay, did something else happen that maybe you didn't get on your child's historical timeline? And a lot of times it'll be a vaccine that maybe did not get written down on the child's vaccine history, and we'll kind of discern it by some other symptoms that we might see. It's like, let's just clear, in case he had an exposure to another child who maybe got a live virus vaccine that he hadn't had, but it shed on him. The viruses can actually shed from person to person. So all along the way, we read the emotional aspects, the quote neurotypical aspects that come up, as well as the autism typical behaviors and so forth, so that we can tell what's going on with that child. And we just do our best then on a daily basis to do whatever we need to. We move through their history, but if the history has to take a detour because the body has a different priority, it will tell us through symptoms or through behaviors that they repeat, that sort of thing. And we'll be able to figure out what we're missing, and then the child can move on, and each step of the way, they'll get healthier. So we want to always be supporting on a daily basis the rebalance and healing. It's not just about peeling the layers, it's about doing it efficiently. And our daily remedies also help with daily digestion, daily elimination, daily detoxification on the cellular level, daily support of normal cell function. So we do have a lot of daily remedies that we do along with the quote sequential clearing process, because they are just as important to your child healing efficiently and comfortably as are the packets that peel away these causational layers. So we use a lot of modern tools and a lot of modern methodologies for the Houston homeopathy method. Of course, sequential homeopathy is going to be the framework around everything else that we do. That is based on your child's history, and that is what the unlayering process is. We add detoxification remedies and supports both in the clearing packets as well as daily. We want to support the terrain. So the terrain is basically their body. It's the soil of healing. It is the lymphatics. It is the lymph itself. It is the blood quality. It is the urination. It's all of the organs and systems that allow the body to have that healthy soil for healthy living. We can use gemo and oligotherapy remedies, which help with absorption, with detoxification, with rebalancing neurotransmitters. We can use German biological remedies, which actually help to cleanse the cells and reprogram them so that they can, where you have mitochondrial damage, which is the brain of the cell, the German biological remedies can actually retrain the cell and help with detoxification. Cytokine therapy, which helps with inflammation, because there's a great deal of inflammation involved with autism. We can bring to bear autism-specific remedies that are proprietary to us. We have quite a number of different remedies that are combinations for inflammation, for gut healing and inflammation and comfort, for detoxification support. So we have developed these formulas specific to working with autism over the years. We also use proprietary combination remedies that actually can address the epigenetics. And all of this is what we bring to bear that we call the Houston homeopathy method. So it's more than just sequential homeopathy. It's a whole constellation of methodologies that we can choose from as your child may need them. So it's highly, highly individualized. So we try to help the kids heal. And let's talk about some of the kids. I want to show you some of the kids and the healing that they had along the way. Now, this next child, I'm doing something in the technological realm that I'm hoping you're going to be able to hear and see, because it has a video and a video, and I've never done this before in a webinar. So we may get to see his picture, and I can tell you about it if it doesn't work. We call him Simon. This is the talking piece. He was born healthy. He got 5 vaccines in one day, and that day was when he lost all of his language that he had developed. He lost his eye contact, and he developed a super self-limiting diet. Now, he came to us really young. He started with us at 2.5 years old, and he did have an official diagnosis of nonverbal autism. His eye contact began to improve, and he got happier. And that was when we knew we were starting to make some progress. And that happened pretty quickly. He regained a little bit of vocabulary and then just started adding to it. Some old behaviors did return while he was clearing. Oops, let me go back to that. When he hit the MMR, that was one of those 5 vaccines that he received in one day when he completely regressed. And when we did clear the MMR in him and the other vaccines, he returned to some of his original regressive behaviors while he was clearing it for just a few days here and there. And then all of a sudden he turned around. He stopped hitting himself. He stopped biting himself. He stopped headbanging. His OCD and his anxiety greatly diminished. And best of all, he regained speech. Now, I'm going to see if we can get this to play. This is Simon after 18 months of working with us.
What do you see? I see the red bird shooting at me. Red bird shooting at me. I see the yellow duck shooting at me. Yellow duck, what do you see? I see the blue horse shooting at me.
I love that video, and I hope that y'all were able to hear that. He just very spontaneously, he started reading, and his parents said it's truly impossible to tell he was ever autistic. He started a regular kindergarten at age 4, and they did do a little more work. We had a few little behaviors and that kind of thing that we touched up. But as you could see, that's a pretty normal little 4-year-old, even precocious. I loved his little in between each verse. So he's definitely one of our nearly 200 recoveries. And it's pretty fun when we get to see a little video like that from our parents to see what's really going on, because we work with clients all over the country and all over the world. So we work with phone consults, and so we don't always get to meet our kids, but obviously we can still get successes with them. So he was a lot of fun. All right, this little girl, I call her our little lost angel, because this was before she started with us. She had, now you can't really see it in this picture, she did not have good eye contact. She had a few words, but they were entirely echolalic. She would just echo back maybe the last word or couple of words that would be said to her, but it was not meaningful or self-initiated language. She had severe constipation, which we had to get under control before we could start detoxifying. Again, you have to have the exit ramps working. She would get itchy rashes, which can be indicative of high strep levels in some cases, and a lot of fears, just irrational fears. She was afraid of everything. She was afraid of curtains. Once she started with us, she had a really, really strong reaction when we were clearing for her MMR regression, but her constipation improved pretty quickly, and she started making more speech gains. She was a little more initiating with her speech, and she even began some imaginative play. And a lot of our kids don't have imaginative play. Maybe your child does not have that imaginative play. And again, that's another sign we're making progress. And after a few more clearings, she started making some huge social gains. She even asked her mom if she could invite her friends over, and a couple of times she forgot to ask mom first, so had little surprises. Started joining in conversations with parents and siblings. Started playing the piano entirely by ear. She just sat down one day and started doing it, and she was pretty sound sensitive. So playing the piano was quite a step forward. We did a few more clearings. Now you can see she was there on a ski vacation. Her OCD and got a little bit worse briefly as we were clearing for some pneumococcal vaccines, which are actually Streptococcus pneumoniae vaccines. And she had some little tiny tics that kind of came to the surface for just a few days during a couple of different clearing processes. But her constipation was completely gone, and she was telling jokes. She was just really becoming very neurotypical. And here is what we call one of her recovery pictures. And that is a real puppy. That is not a stuffed animal, but it's cute as can be. And her mom said, I love that you can use her story to spread the word of hope to all the families that go on this journey. This is a more recent picture of her, and her mom says, I'll always be very thankful for the help you gave Laura. Your program was key to her recovery. And you can see that's just a happy child smiling and going on about life. So another one of our happy recovery stories. Now, as I mentioned, pain reduction is one of the first things that we look at. And with this little boy, his mom did tons and tons of ABA and got some speech, even some fairly expressive speech, but he continued to complain about having severe tummy pain. He'd crawl in his mom's lap and say, Mommy, my tummy hurts, rub my tummy. And she tried a lot of different supplements. She tried doing some biomedical treatments, and nothing really helped him. And when she started with us, he got a little bit better, as you can see in the first picture. And within a year of working with us, he really had achieved full health. And that is just a neurotypical happy kid smile. That is a child who is out of pain. And he just took off after that and started soaring in school and socially. You know, he danced at a cultural center. He did a whole lot of things. So that's one of the things we want to make sure you understand. And this next one really points out, don't give up on your child. Don't accept somebody telling you that your child has a locked-in, hardwired genetic disorder that cannot be improved, because you're seeing pictorial evidence. We have other kids, certainly, but I also understand a lot of our parents don't want us to show their kids' history online. You know, they're afraid with the internet today of things following them. But we're really thankful to these parents who have said, oh my gosh, please use my child's story to help others. And this next one, this mom is one of our cheerleader moms. And Michael is one of our never give up cases. And excuse me, just a second, I have to wet my throat. Michael's mom and dad had tried virtually every biomedical approach there was, all kinds of genetic testing and supplemental approaches. And it seemed like virtually, not only did he not get better, but it seemed like he just got worse and worse and worse with each one. He had seen over 20 autism specialists with big names before coming to us. And quite literally, every one of them had said, well, I've done everything I can do to help him, and this isn't working, and I'm so sorry, you're going to have to try something else. I give up. We don't give up on our kids, because with homeopathy, as I said, we have all kinds of different methodologies in homeopathy and types of different remedies and different uses of the remedies that we can turn to. And we have somewhere around 4,500 different remedies that we can choose from, just individual remedies, not counting specific combinations and so forth. So we don't give up easily on our kids. And this guy came to us when you see on the intake paperwork, as we did with Michael, you're our last hope before we have to put him into an institution, because he was violently aggressive, had severe OCD. He was hurting himself. He was hurting other people. He was very slow to respond because he had a lot of parasites. He was where we learned the most about parasites in autism. But we hung in there, and his mom hung in there. And yes, he was a slow responder, but he made progress. But when we see, you're our last hope before he goes into an institution, no pressure, no worries. But we didn't give up, and his mom never gave up on him. And he came to us right after that age 12 picture. And even after 2 years, you can see a huge change. Just look at his color is better. There's a brightness that came into his eyes. He was in there. We found him. And by the time he was 17, he was using a communicator. This is him doing at age 17, he was entering a science project into a science fair. And that's a picture of him using his communicator to explain his project to someone. He really started in middle school, and then into high school. He started making truly miraculous gains. The violence was one of the first things that scared us, because we can't have him hurting other people. And as these kids get older and bigger, that can be a real problem. That's a very big worry. But his violence was completely gone. He had quit hurting himself. He had quit hurting his sister, his mother, his dad. His self-injurious behaviors were gone. He was trying to socialize with others, and as he used a communication device, he was able to socialize. He was truly accepted and actually kind of taken under the wing of some of the popular kids in school. He made academic gains. He got a blue ribbon with this goat. That's his goat. He raised the goat. He took responsibility for her. He entered her in the competition, got a blue ribbon, moved on to the next level. He even graduated. And I'm sitting here literally with goosebumps, because Michael was probably one of our most seriously impacted, severely autistic people. And while we did not get speech, we did get communication. And as you can see, he had a sense of humor. He even is working a job now. He passed the food handler's test the first time through with flying colors, no problem. And the people who hired him at this conference center said, wow, most of our newbies don't pass it until the second or third time. They said he's a totally quick learner. He uses an iPod to communicate and was doing amazingly well. And they said that he was a hard worker. I mean, he grew up on a farm, so you learn how to work on a farm. And they said he watches and he seems to know what needs to be done, and he just does it. He continues to work on healing. Mom is doing, some supplements, but he developed a healthier gut. His OCD was virtually gone. His receptive language just has continued to improve and improve and improve. And we feel like he's got really, yes, he has some deficits as far as communication, but he is just such a ray of sunshine for everybody. So we feel like he has a bright future. His mom said they all, the other practitioners that she had gone to, MDs, naturopaths, biomedical specialists in autism, had given up on him. And then she made her first appointment with us. And we weren't going to give up as long as she didn't give up. And we hung in there, and Michael hung in there, and Michael's mom hung in there. So I think Michael is really doing well, and it's really fun when we get these stories. So one more story, and this one really is told in the pictures. I'm not going to embellish it a lot, but you can actually go to our website, and in our if you click on our programs and go to Sequential Homeopathy for Autism, this young lady's story is at the end of a video presentation that we did at Autism One a few years ago. And it's the mom and the grandmother telling her story. They talked to us at their first Autism One conference. And by the end of the conference, Grandma was absolutely convinced that they needed to go the biomedical route. And Mom said, no, we're going to do homeopathy. And apparently it was a bit of a fight between the two of them. And the grandmother went, you're out of your mind. So you can watch the whole story as told by the mom and the grandparents. But just very briefly, normal birth, bright eyes, you can see there on the left. That's just a very bright little baby's eyes. And then about a month later, she got some vaccines and started slipping away. And here she is, pretty much a lost little girl. In the right-hand picture, if they went to a park, she would find an empty spot and she would just lay down all by herself and want to be left alone. And just before she started with us, she was in a play with at school, and you can see she's pretty distracted. But this hippotherapy picture, there she is riding a pony. And that was also the same day that she started with us. So that was the end of October in 2012. 4 months later, Grandma picks her up from school, and she said, I would ask her all the time, how was your day today? And she wouldn't get any answer. And she went, good. And Grandma went, what? She said she nearly wrecked the car. And she said, what did you do? Read. That got Grandma's attention, that maybe this homeopathy wasn't quite so woo-woo and witchcrafty as she had given it credit for. And as things progressed, just a few months into it, now you're seeing better eye contact. 9 months into working with us, there she is just taking off. I think of this as her water bird picture, where she looks like she is just happy and gleeful. A year into it, there she is. I think that was at a fall festival. Here we are 15 months into working with us. That's her in the front. That is just a happy little girl. And on the right, she was doing pretend play. She had a cat outfit, and she'd get her mom to paint the whiskers on her face, and she would meow her way around. This was a few months after that. Here she is learning some new skills. I love that she was trying chopsticks. I do just about that well with chopsticks myself these days. Here she is, pretending to drive the car, and hey, Mom, I'm going to drive today. And snuggling up with her sister there at like a sleepover, playing mummy. Just neurotypical silliness. The one on the top there, just a bunch of her friends, and I think that's her mom, actually. Nope, that's a friend upside down. Kind of looks like her mom, but it's hard to tell when they're upside down. Just playing with friends, normal kid stuff. There she is with her mom on a carnival ride, and that was her grandmother, actually, who Looks younger than I ever will. Anyway, that's her mom and her grandmother and her sister, but that's her grinning ear to ear. So when you look at how she was when she started with us and how she is now, it's pretty incredible. So I'm going to go ahead and show, we do have a special offer right now, and we celebrated our 15th anniversary. We've celebrated almost, I was hoping we would hit 200. We're about 4 people shy of 200 complete recoveries, but May 1st was our 15th anniversary. So we are celebrating by giving you an offer, which should be showing at the right of the screen. I'm hoping. And one of the things that we want you to know is that we commit ourselves to your child's wellness. We have helped literally thousands of kids over the last 15 years. We have seen almost 300 of them fully recover. And we really do commit to this. My business partner and myself each had kids who, my son was on spectrum. He had Asperger's. He is fully recovered. He's 26 now. He has his own car. He has a job. He's moving up the ladder. He just passed another certification course to do inspections on fire and security systems in commercial office buildings. He's got a girlfriend. He's got a million friends. He's just a really, really cool kid. So we know what it's like. My business partner's son had Tourette syndrome and the learning disabilities that went with that. He is now in his 30s. He is married. He's working as he works on wildlife and tree management. And this is our favorite quote: never, never, never give up. Don't give up on your child. We won't give up on trying to help your child. If you can hang in there, we will hang in there. So I'm going to open things up for Q&A. Let's get me back here. Let's try to turn there I am. Okay. I am going to open up the chat. Let me get that going. So I didn't go into detail, but I wanted you to see how realistic it is to expect your child to make progress and even recover. I tried to choose a variety of cases. We had some who had a little bit of language when we started and a whole lot when they finished. I tried to show some who had no language whatsoever, but also no communication and violence. Just give you an idea of how serious some of these kids are. And if any of you have got questions that you'd like to ask, I'm going to open it up now. Just type in your message there on the right side of your screen and hit enter, and it should come up in the chat. Let's see. There we go. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. You are most welcome. We love sharing our success stories. And we love sharing even the ones that maybe are not full-blown recoveries. Let me just put it this way. If we can help with autism, ADHD is a relative walk in the park. A lot of ADHD is actually related to high levels of streptococcus in the system. Some of it may be from drugs that have been taken in the past, that they're actually side effects of the drugs. So yes, and a lot of our kids with autism are also very ADHD. They can't stay on task. They are wiggle worms. They can't be kept in their chair. So yes, we definitely can help with ADD. We can help with ADHD. My son had some ADD issues, and we were able to work through those, as well as the Asperger's aspect, the social and the academic and the study aspects. And ADD, ADHD also are quite frequently vaccine injury related. So what we can do for autism, we can pretty much do in spades for ADD and ADHD. We have worked with kids with Lyme disease as a co-infection of autism. We have worked with kids who have pandas as a co-infection with, or a co-diagnosis with autism. We have worked with, I would say, just about every health-related issue. We have had some kids who have come to us with seizure disorders, and while we do not specifically focus on seizures, we definitely can see improvements in a lot of kids. Some of the kids, their seizures have gone away as we've worked back through their history. Okay, when you say old behaviors return, how long will it be there in their system? I don't have a crystal ball, but in the cases that I was talking about where some of their regressive behaviors came back, it was during the clearing process when we hit the point and the causational factors of their regression was when they would have that little mini regression. Usually it only lasted for a few days. With a couple of kids, it might last until we did a second set of clearing packets to really get it out of their system. If they were deeply, deeply impacted by, say, the MMR set of vaccines, sometimes we'd have to clear it 2 months, maybe 3 months running to completely get rid of those behaviors. But usually the worst of it only lasted anywhere from a few hours to 3 or 4 days. And then they started showing some of the gains, the upticks kicked in. So when we're going back through the history, if any vaccine had a negative impact or caused a particular behavior, like if we're clearing a PCV vaccine, that contains 13 different strep variants. So a lot of times when we're clearing that, the kids will become a little more OCD. Maybe we've had some improvements in it, for a while, but all of a sudden they take a little bit of a step backwards when we're actually clearing it, because the body has to get everything through the system. And as it's passing through, you may see a return of those behaviors. Other times they just get better at the peak of the clear, or maybe they get a sore throat instead of a behavior that comes back. Well, that is the body using inflammation to burn out the strep. Or they get a fever, and then all of a sudden they start talking more. So while we may see things step backwards, then we see it pick back up, and we start seeing them get back above baseline. That's sort of the textbook way of doing it. We do the clearing packets roughly once a month. So that means we're clearing one event. That can be a set of vaccines, or it can be a chemical exposure, or it could be an illness where they got an antibiotic and it caused a lot of dysbiosis. So about once a month, we're clearing a new event or a new layer. And so we have what we call the peak of the clear moments, which is usually about 10 to 14 days after taking the first packet of each series for that month. Usually there are 3 to 5 packets clearings clearing packets that we do to address that layer. And as they take each packet, that starts day 1 of the cycle. And then by about day 10 to 14 is when, if we're going to see those regressions, or we see, a fever or a rash, which is the body creating localized or systemic inflammation to get rid of a pathogen, or we might see a little diarrhea as they're clearing out some, chemical or some heavy metals. That's going to happen during that period sometime. So we try to tell parents when they can expect to see some of that. And not every child is going to be exactly 10 days or exactly 14 days every time. Some of them will actually start it while they're taking their initial clearing packets in the cycle each month. So we do monthly consults, and each time that we do a consult, the clearing process will be slightly different. Okay, really good question. Do we require a particular diet? Um, Ideally, most of our kids do better when they are at least gluten and casein free, because in autism, they can't break down those proteins efficiently. It goes into the gut and it can be creating gut inflammation, which is going to ramp down the immune response, which is what homeopathy works with. So it's going to slow the process if they're continuing to take in gluten or casein. Soy is now GMO, so GMO soy can create inflammation in the gut, which is then going to ramp down the immune response and can also increase gut pain. So it is very helpful if your child is gluten-free, casein-free, GMO-free, maybe corn and soy-free. As far as non-organic soy, non-organic corn is virtually all going to be genetically modified, which itself creates gut inflammation. So those will be supportive of the process, but we have also had one or two kids that the parents said, I just can't do GFCF for whatever reason. Both parents are working. They can't stay on top of the school. And we've had one or two kids who did really, really well with the program in spite of living on milk and Ritz crackers for the first several months. But they definitely do better if they are gluten-free and casein-free. It will just go faster and smoother. But we do not absolutely require it. We suggest it strongly. And we also try to look to see if there are any major toxins that are like an ongoing exposure for a child, because that will slow things down. Please do not apologize for asking questions. That's why this is a question and answer time. Any more questions out there? If not, I'll give you another couple of minutes. I'm going to put that offer up. Okay. What we are doing to celebrate our 15th anniversary is we are offering, it's actually a little more than 15% off an initial sequential homeopathy consultation. Now, this is only good on the full-blown sequential homeopathy initial consultation. They're regularly $375. So we're offering $60 off if you send in your paperwork and we get you scheduled and you do the consult by May 15th, then we are offering that $60 off, because we're celebrating 15 years of helping kids recover from autism, improve from autism, make gains, get healthier, feel better, and improve their quality of life and improve the quality of life of their parents. So if you decide that you would like to work with us and you want to take advantage of that, please follow the links. Okay, here we go. Let me put that up there. If you want to learn more, you can click on that button and there will be more information about a little more information about the hows of sequential homeopathy, the kinds of improvements we see. We see stools improve, we see black circles around the eyes improve, we see communication improve, interaction socially, we see academic improvements, we see self-injurious behaviors improve. And any of those things by itself is going to be life-changing for you and for your child. Sleep improvements. I didn't get into sleep, but a lot of these kids had major sleep issues. And if the child doesn't sleep, nobody sleeps. So a lot of improvements have happened with kids. They don't all fully recover, but like I said, we have seen thousands of kids make truly life-saving improvements. So if you want to click that button, it will take you to the page that talks about sequential. And at the bottom of that page, you'll be able to click to be taken to our online intake paperwork. And you can just tell us the coupon code. There may be a space I may have to go back in and put it back into the form. There may be a space on the form that says coupon code, but if not, just email the office. You can email us at newsletter@homeopathyhouston.com if you have questions, or you can sign up for our newsletter on our website. There will be a pop-up that you can sign up for that, so you'll constantly know when we're doing webinars. You can ask questions. You can contact us for questions. You can call us at 713-366-8700, and I'll put that up at the end of our presentation here, or I'll try to. Or you can email schedule@Homeopathy Houston and tell them you have a coupon code 15 years and that you've submitted your paperwork. So just write schedule, SCHEDULE, @homeopathyhouston.com. And once you've sent in your paperwork, if you don't find the place for the coupon code, and say, I want the $60 off, please. And we will give you a call and get you scheduled with one of our homeopaths. Right now, we've still got a number of openings left between now and the 15th to do some initials and get your child started on healing. This is as much a calling for us as it is work. There's plenty of work. There's a lot of thinking and analyzing and brainstorming that goes into this. And we brainstorm with you every month. We want it, you take notes and you let us know what you're seeing with your child. Sometimes pictures of rashes get sent or little videos. We want you to be actively involved and understand the process, and that's what our consults are for. So I'm going to go back over here in case there are any more questions. Okay, do we do blood testing? We do not do any testing. That is the realm of the medical world. We don't offer any testing. We don't require testing because homeopathy acts off of the symptoms, the behaviors, the things that you can observe. If the kids can tell you verbally where it hurts, how it hurts, then that's helpful. But even for the kids who can't tell us where it hurts, you as the parent, you know your child, you're going to know when a behavior is different, is new, and that kind of thing, and you report it to us. And we have had enough experience with autism that we can tell from certain behaviors or certain, a rash or something like that. We'll get very specific about it, and that will tell us what needs to be cleared, along with this timeline history. We actually have a video on our website about how to do a timeline for us, because we want that timeline going in, because that's our roadmap of your child's specific history. We get their vaccine history, if they were vaccinated. Even if they were not vaccinated, we've had kids turn around, because sometimes it's actually the parents' vaccines that we clear, and we see the kids improve. Okay. Okay, first of all, we are not doctors. None of us are doctors. We're all professional homeopaths. There are 4 of us. I will tell you that we all have recovered kids. You can request me, but I will tell you that right now my schedule is full. Before the 15th, I think right now, I might have 1 slot left available if you're trying to take advantage of this offer. That's only through the 15th. You can request me, but there's typically a little bit of a wait, because I only do consults 2 days a week, because I own half the practice. So the other 3 are devoted to, developing client information and education. So right now, if you're looking for the $60 off and you want to, I wouldn't wait for me. Do not wait for me, because to be perfectly honest, the other 3 homeopaths do more autism than I do, because I like doing all of the general clients too. So I have more general clients, and my practice is pretty full right now. You may request me, but just know right now I personally don't have any more slots available, partly because I'm going to be traveling the end of the month. And so I've had to leave room in my schedule for my current clients. So I'm not trying to be difficult. It's just a reality. But I can tell you, every one of us, you're still getting my input with your child. We brainstorm together. We do case conferences. So no matter which one you go with, every one of them is amazing. They're amazing professionals, and I'm honored to be associated with them. Yes, you can ask, but barring a major hole in my schedule opening up, probably can't have me before the 15th of the month. So, but you definitely can ask. I would say that Lyndall and Julie and Lynn are just amazing. Their clients love them. And frankly, they have more recovered kids than I do, because I work with fewer autism and more of the non-autism general health clients. So, but you can ask, you're welcome to. And if Terry can fit you in, I can fit you in. I will try. So, but by the 15th, right now, my schedule for May is full. But the other 3 will have some space. I can highly recommend every one of them. We've known each other. We've all got hours and hours and hours of brainstorming together. We've trained together. We've sat at conferences and learned together. So we all do the same program, and we all get the same kinds of results. And I think you'll like all of them. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I'm going to bring this to a close. I thank you for your time and your patience, and I hope that you've enjoyed seeing some of the results that some of our parents have had. And do sign up for our newsletter. We do twice, we do twice a week on Wednesday. I do a 1:30 Autism Facebook Live, and on our Homeopathy Center of Houston Facebook page. And I do a second one an hour later at 2:30 Central Time that's on general health issues. Okay, one more quick question while doing sequential treatment. Yes, as things come up in the kids, if they get cold symptoms, flu, whatever, we definitely can help with that with the homeopathic remedies, because we don't want anything to resuppress what we're trying to get out of them. So we do have an after hours pager, or if it's during current hours, call the office, if it's which is Tuesday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time. Our phones are answered, and you'll get hold of Terry, and she'll take a message from you and get back with you as soon as she hears from us. We don't charge for that. If it is after hours, try to call during business hours, and we will try to handle it just, back and forth through Terry. Do call the office. Do not email your homeopath, because we all travel, we all have lives, and email is not how you want to trust your health questions. We want you to call the office. But if it's after hours, we do have a pager. There is a fee for that, because of course it's at your convenience and not necessarily ours, but you would get Julie Adams if you have an after hours urgent concern. And she is great with that. We do suggest that you get one of our 50 remedy kits, which I will grab. I can't show you the inside because this one is actually an empty, but it comes filled with 50 little bottles of remedies, 50 different remedies, and it comes in a handy little travel box. And we suggest, let's see, as you can see, there are 50 different remedies, and they're listed on there. And that is really a home health kit. So you can buy those separately from us. If you're not a client, we sell them for $150, but we discount them to $135 for our clients. If you're a new client, you get the $135. And those are something that we can pull from. Anybody in the family can actually use those remedies. They're for colds, diarrhea, food poisoning, travel sickness, nausea, vomiting, fevers of various sorts, dehydration, sunstroke, all kinds of things. So it's a real good general kit to have on hand. And then if you do have to call us because your child has a problem, let's say we hit a clearing and suddenly they've got diarrhea. You can call the office and the first question is going to be, when did he have his packets? And the second will be, do you have a kit? And we can take care of it at that point. Okay, how is sequential homeopathy different from cease? Cease happened after sequential homeopathy. It does not use as deep a cleansing process generally as what we do, because we will be very, very specific to your child's, not just vaccine history, but we clear for, additional drugs that they may have had that were problematic, or that may be suppressing things, as well as we do a lot of daily supportive remedies, which I talked about a little bit early on. The daily support remedies have been developed for our program specifically for autism and its problems. Like we have specific detoxes that we do daily, rather than giving you a clearing and then we just take hands off and let the body do what it can do. We support it on a daily basis. We have remedies that reduce inflammation along the way. So there are a lot of proprietary combinations and we use virtually every type of homeopathic remedy that there is out there we have available to us, and that is not done in cease therapy. Cease therapy does not necessarily use nosodes that are specific to a pathogen or a vaccine, where we may do that. They may use, for instance, belladonna to clear a DTaP. Well, that's not going to clear a DTaP in our experience. They use mostly single remedies trying to clear things, where we use a lot of different combinations, because we found that with the complications and the overlays of many different layers, it's not just vaccines, it's inflammation, we support all the different systems and organs that we need in order to eliminate the toxins and so forth. So our program is exceedingly complex. We do a lot of different remedies at once, where cease is kind of a 1 or 2 remedy at a time approach. Ours is very deep acting, and it is proprietary to us. Now, let me also restate, you do not have to be in Houston to work with us. You do not have to come to Houston. And quite frankly, when our Houston clients started doing phone consults and we realized that we really never saw our clients in person because of Houston traffic or whatever, we have spoken at national and international conferences. We've got clients around the world and all over the US. We do phone consults, and actually all of us have fulfilled our dreams of moving away from Houston. So our practitioners, we all work either by phone. We are working on getting HIPAA compliant video. We're not there yet. Skype is not HIPAA compliant, so we can't use that. But we have specialized for probably 13 or 14 of our 15 years as Homeopathy Center in doing phone consults. And, you're the parent, you live with them all the time. Even if you bring your child into somebody's office, they're not going to be displaying their typical behaviors at that point in time. So we have you kind of keep a day-to-day diary. It doesn't have to be every single day, but the high points of changes of behaviors, changes of, health issues that might come up. And then at the consult each month, we listen to what happened and when it happened, because there is a time frame. And that is how we work with our kids. And we follow the roadmap of their timeline. But if the body detours and takes another priority, we follow that. So you're the parent, when things are changing, when something's better or worse. where when we get that little, 15 to 30 minute snapshot of your child in an office, that's not necessarily going to be a reflection of how they've really done during the month. So we go into great depth in our initial and in our follow-ups, which are about 30 minutes long, once a month. And really, we really care about our parents, we care about our kids, and I think that that we have something very special and unique to offer. I don't know anybody else in the world that does as broad an approach. And it's not, cease therapy is not based on the biomedical research that Defeat Autism Now did. We were taught by Defeat Autism Now and learned how to interpret autism behaviors in light of what's going wrong with a child. And so that is also another hallmark of our system. So it's pretty in-depth. All right. Well, thank you all for your time and energy. And we will be sending out a replay if you missed some of this, or if you've got friends who you might want to share it with. We hope you will. They can register for the replay. You can forward the newsletter emails so, that you get for the replay, and they can actually go in and register and watch it. It'll probably be up in about 2 days because we clean up my ers, and uh-huhs. So I hope it's been enjoyable, but I hope it's also been informative. And most of all, I hope that what it has done is give you hope for your child. So that is what I want you to take away, is hope for your child. Never, never, never give up on your child with autism. So take care. Thank you. You are most welcome, and y'all have a great day.